Welcome back to the Sharpe Sports Report. I'm Kellen here with Bryant and Alec, and we have spent weeks on college basketball, but the NFL has made its way into headlines over the past 2 days, and we are going to cover it a little bit today. We're still going to focus mainly on college basketball and our Wednesday pick'ems for the Players Open this weekend. We're going to talk about Russell Wilson. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk about how the Colts committed highway robbery today after getting Carson Wentz out of the building and somehow getting Washington to pay all $28 million. Alec, you're the one here who has AFC West connections. I mean, what do you think about this whole Russell Wilson to the Broncos?
Oh, man, this division just keeps getting more and more brutal. But before we dive into who we think got the better end of this deal, I will say, so I'm a Chiefs fan because my dad's side of the family is big Chiefs fans. And this is funny. So my cousin Luke sent me this text. I'll read it. Just got a notification that brought me to a Raiders Reddit where they were talking about the Wilson trade. And someone said, why can't we have a team like the Lions in our division? Someone else then follows up and says, we are the Lions of our division. And then my favorite quote was, if you can't find the Lions in your division, you are definitely the Lions of your division. But to get to the main point, yeah. What a brutal list of quarterbacks now you got there. You got Mahomes, you got Carr. For whatever you think of Carr, I think he's a hell of a quarterback. That's my opinion. Now you have Wilson in Seattle, and you have Herbert in San Diego. It's going to be fun to watch next year. I wish it wasn't. I wish the Chiefs could just kind of stroll into the playoffs. But, wow, I'm concerned only for Denver because they gave up a buttload of picks for Russell Wilson. And the question I've been wanting to ask you guys all day is, do you think Wilson at 33 is worth, wasn't it 2 first rounds and 2 second rounds? Plus Noah Fant gone and the DN gone.
And Drew Lock is also
Andrew Lock
and a 5th round pick.
I mean, I personally think Seattle got the better end of the deal. But
I have my notes here, and Alec, I 100% agree with you. I think Seattle did this because their future is set. Their future is bright if they want to. And Deshaun Watson gets cleared, they could throw any number of those picks they just gained at Deshaun Watson, getting him out of Houston, or select any of the quarterbacks you have this year. It's a weak-ish, but still like high potential quarterback draw this year, in my opinion. And I really have never been as high on Russell Wilson as a lot of people have been. Like, he's a great quarterback, and he's a lot better than when he won those Super Bowls. But he hasn't shown to me that he can like solo carry a team to a Super Bowl or like to an NFC championship. Because when they were going to NFC championships and when they were winning Super Bowls, it's because he had the Legion of Boom on the other side of the field. Mm-hmm. Like, he's great, but he needs that insane defense or insane running game that can help them. And I mean, Denver has a good running game, but their offensive line is non-existent, so I'm not sure how consistent that running game will be. Got rid of Noah Fant, a great target for Russell Wilson. Receiving core is solid, but young and moderately injury prone, and they have like 30 cornerbacks, and maybe like 2 of them are good. So I don't think they'll be a Super Bowl contender. I do think they'll finish second in the division.
I'm glad you mentioned the Legion of Boom. Seattle's defense this past year dropped off tremendously over the past couple of years. I mean, they were the defense of the NFL. Everyone hated going to Seattle. They had no defense this year. They were just god-awful. They could put up a bunch of points, but their defense would give it right back. I'm actually going to disagree with both of you. I think Denver got the better end of the deal in this one.
Okay.
Reason why is they're such a young team. You have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, even your boy from Penn State. I can't even think of his name.
KJ Hamler,
great punt return specialist, quick speed. The running backs, Melvin Gordon I think he's highly overrated in the league. Melvin Gordon is, but their other backs, that Javonte Williams out of North Carolina. He was a rookie last year. Looked amazing. He was fantastic.
Well, they
I
have
just
Bradley
think
Chubb too.
they have Bradley Chubb and Von Miller's coming back, I believe, after his little tweet. Hey,
Not
I wonder if they'll give me
guaranteed,
my old locker
but
back.
it is pretty suspicious.
Their defense was not bad at all this past year. I think, Alec, you even mentioned it. Like their defense kept them in close games. It was their offense. They had no quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater was injury prone, concussions. I mean, horrible ending to probably his career. But outside of that, you had Drew Lock and Trevor Siemian. Was that the third string?
Yeah.
I think this bodes well to make a run over the next couple years with Russell Wilson at the helm. I know they gave up draft picks, but if Von Miller comes back as the leader on that defense, you have Patrick Surtain. You'll have Von Miller back. You have Bradley Chubb. I can't even think of that free safety's name.
Justin Simmons,
who's fantastic. I think this team is poised to give Kansas City a run for its money. They have a lot of weapons on the field. So I'm going to say Denver wins this trade.
that is, but like understandable, and I understand the point you're coming from, but the immense talent in the AFC, I'm not like they're young. I'm not sure that defense will take the strides that they need to take to shut down a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen or a Joe Burrow, or maybe if the Chargers figure out their goddamn offense, Justin Herbert. They're really good, and I think they'll be a really good regular season team, but I think they'll just hit a wall in the playoffs because I'm not sure Russell Wilson is that guy, although I'm a little more positive on his mentality. I was not like having the balls to go to the AFC West. Those are some big hanging balls you got there, buddy, and I applaud you for that.
I just wonder. So, I mean, if Von Miller goes over there, like you're saying, Brandon, I guess that might sway me more to Denver. I just don't. I don't know. I think, that their theory is, Wilson hasn't really ever missed injury time, right? He's been fairly healthy his entire career. So maybe you say, okay, 33, you probably get, I mean, what do we expect them to want to get out of this? 3 years? He'd be 36, or are they expecting like?
I'm assuming bare minimum 4 because you have pretty much lost a ton of your draft picks for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think it takes at least like 2 years of recovery after that. So I'm thinking they're hoping like 4 years because by the 4th year, you've at least have 2 years of full drafts at that point, hopefully for them.
And I agree with, I think Denver's offense right now at receiver is second best in the division behind the Chiefs, with the guys you named there, Brandon. But I just don't think as Wilson gets older, one of his best traits is just to be able to extend the play. Like even when the Legion of Boom was leading the team, like Wilson is a clutch quarterback. He's not scared to run around forever, take a shot and heave the ball, does whatever he needs to win. But I just think, I mean, you're talking about 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders. I mean, those first-round guys are normally multi-year starters. I mean, so you gave up 2 of those. You don't know what you would have gotten. Then the second-round guys, I mean, if you're a good organization, you should be able to grab at least 1 multi-year starter out of that. What are the picks in the first round? I'm just curious.
The 9th overall pick.
Wow. Ooh. I guess I'm just a draft pick guy. I don't think I can justify a 33-year-old regardless of what his past is. I know in Denver, they've just been so anxious to get something in there because of the ineptitude they've had over the past years since Manning, really. So I get why they did it. The fans will definitely go out and see this. The fans are going to be happy for the now product, but 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and again, not just because I'm a Hawkeye, but I really think Noah Fant just is one of the most unlocked potential guys in the league. He's just been stuck on a team that doesn't have a quarterback. And now the team gets a quarterback, and he's one of the people shipped off. So we'll see.
Last thing I'm going to say to you guys, just to kind of cap on Denver won this trade point. After the audits are done and they finalize exactly what cap space they'll have this offseason, they're going to have $47 million in cap space. So their free agency is about to take off, especially with this acquisition of Russell Wilson.
I disagree because I think there's at least around the NFL a thought that the ownership and general managing of the Broncos is not top notch. I mean, John Elway's great, but he's shown consistently that he's not the greatest president of player personnel in the NFL. And then we're also forgetting they have a head coach who's never been a head coach in the NFL before. We don't know, like, he's a great offensive coordinator, but we don't know what he's going to do. A lot of unprovens here.
Good point.
All right. That
Carson
it?
Wentz. Well, yeah, I was just going to move on because
That's fine with me.
You have Colts ties, you have Eagles ties. He's going back to the NFC East with the Washington Commanders. Carson Wentz was traded today for some scraps. I mean, that was pretty much what he was traded for today. So, and I also found out he's going to be playing the Eagles twice and going to Indy next year.
He's going to lose all three of those games.
Oh, man.
God. So, I mean, after that trade, I mean, first off, you guys give me your thoughts on that trade, but then what do you do with Heineke? I mean, do you trade him? Because I think he can be a starting quarterback somewhere.
I'm not entirely sure he could be. I think he's kind of a Gardner Minshew, but not as good as Gardner Minshew, where he's like, you want him as a backup because say your top guy goes out, he's a great guy to have back there. And to speak on Carson Wentz, the dude has become freaking Vinny Testaverde over the last 4 years, where it's like he's good, but he's never good enough to make you think we need him on our team or he's the guy that we want. He showed us in the Jacksonville Jaguars game that no matter who the hell is on his team, great offensive line, good wide receiving core, great running backs, great defense, he still finds a way to screw it up and lose to the Jaguars and not make the playoffs. Now, I don't see him taking a Washington team who's good. They got a really good defense. And they have like one good wide receiver who's all around good and two other speedsters. I don't see him doing something with those Commanders. I don't see it happening. And the NFC East is not a great division, but he's not beating the Cowboys. He might pull off one in Washington against the Eagles. And sure, he could beat the Giants, but at this point, we don't know. Maybe Trubisky goes to the Giants and does well. I think he's a good quarterback. I think that the Colts 100% won this trade because they got rid of Carson Wentz and the Washington Commanders are paying $28 million. They're paying all of his salary. And that's the best part.
Completely agree with almost all your points there, Kellen. How is he going to win in Washington when he was just on a better team in Indianapolis? I don't know. The whole thing with Wentz is I've heard a lot of people trying to quote, oh, he had 27 touchdown passes this year, the 7 picks. Yeah, but you can look at the numbers, though. I went and looked, and he also had 7 games where he didn't even throw for 200 yards. The argument might be that Jonathan Taylor in those games was romping around, but they also lost, I believe, 4 of those games. It wasn't because Jonathan Taylor was just dominating the game and the Colts were controlling everything. In this era, you need a quarterback who can rack up yards. I mean, you Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, those are the guys who are going to win you a Super Bowl. And Wentz has proven since that first year, or the year where he was in for MVP, he's just not that guy. And I just don't see him being the guy in Washington, especially with that franchise, the way we've talked about how that's run. The Colts, though, like Kellen said, huge, that literally just got that money to disappear. You were so stuck because you gave up picks to bring him in. What happened this year happened. And then, you really thought the Colts were kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. And for this miracle to just happen with Washington swooping in and picking it up, I mean, it's best case scenario. They don't care that they lost picks and got rid of the guy next year. Like, they don't have to pay that money. It's huge.
And I just looking at the picks that the Colts got, they get a second round pick for this year and then 2 third-rounders for the following year, 2023.
Is one of those like it could be a second rounder or two if Wentz plays like 70% of his games or something?
Something like that. There's always some weird incentives with some of those picks. But yeah, I mean, listen, like ever since you told us about Danny Pinter on the Colts, we've become diehard Colts fans.
Absolutely.
Love to see it. But hey, let's find the Colts a quarterback now. How about that? Let's get him a quarterback. I mean,
let's get Kellen out there. He's wanting to fight half the league, so give him his.
Hey, I guarantee I won't throw 4 interceptions against the Jaguars. I may not throw 4 touchdowns, but I won't throw 4 interceptions. I'll take the sacks.
Well, obviously the Colts will not be getting Aaron Rodgers because he decided to stay in Green Bay. I did read that retirement was a huge possibility. Like he was really considering retiring. I don't know the whole money-wise, Kellen, unless you do. I could not find it on how they gave him a contract because apparently it's a market-altering deal that they gave him.
It's this new thing in the NFL that's kind of like making it a lot easier to pay quarterbacks a hell of a lot more money, and that's just the guaranteed money, where the salary isn't set year by year. It's like, we're going to pay you this amount of money. You'll eventually get it. Some way, somehow, you will get it, but it's not like he's getting paid exactly like $25 million each year he's playing, which makes it a lot easier for this year's cap hit to go down a hell of a lot.
Does that mean like they'll pay him even after he's gone? Is that what you're basically saying? Just
yeah, they'll do it to a point where he'll get his money in the allotted time of his contract, but it won't be like. Usually usually it's divided by year you get paid. Like say he's getting paid however much money he gets paid 25 each year, or it's maybe a rising one where it's like 20, 22, 24, 25. But with this new guaranteed stuff, it's like, hey, you'll get paid at some point.
So they're literally giving out annuities basically.
Pretty much.
Like that's legitimately that's interesting.
But I mean, it's huge though, because they franchise tag Devontae Adams. They're reconstructing Bakatari's deal. I don't know how much money they'll have in cap space, but Aaron Rodgers said if he wants to come back, they're going to have to find a way to bring in some more talent. And I think they were just a couple pieces away, but I don't know. I mean, I don't see them doing anything different next year. I just don't.
Neither do I.
We've seen this team. We talked about it. All of us said the same thing going into the playoffs this year. How many good to great Green Bay teams have we seen go into the playoffs and trip? Almost for the same damn reason. It's not really because it's Aaron Rodgers. There's always something else that happens. And what's the difference going to be next year? You know?
Well, they've had this mentality since the 90s where it's like, oh, we have a great quarterback. That's all we need. We have Brett Favre. That's all. But
they have great players around them too. I mean, you said it yourself, Kellen. I agree with you. Devontae Adams might be the best receiver in the league. Maybe not statistically, but athletically. Blow your socks off. Best receiver in the league.
But it's not where it matters because, like, Aaron Rodgers can make the average wide receiver look pretty damn good. Like, Jordy Nelson wasn't some freak of a wide receiver, but like he was a great wide receiver because he had Aaron Rodgers thrown it to him. They need a defense. When Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl, it's because the defense was great. They had Clay Matthews in his prime. Clay Matthews was a freak. When Brett Favre won, they had Reggie White on that defensive line. And I suggest anyone to go back and watch Reggie White highlights because that dude would throw a 300-pound lineman on the snap count. He'd time it perfectly, throw a guy with one hand, and then stack the quarterback with his pinky. Dude was a beast. It's about defense, and Green Bay doesn't understand that.
Well, I mean, at least we can say Green Bay will win the division again. So all the Bears fans probably just shit their pants after that news.
Will they? Will they, though? I'm not entirely sure they will.
Well, the Bears aren't going to win it. Detroit's not going to win it. It was like Minnesota. I mean, do you really trust Kirk Cousins?
Well, I don't trust Kirk Cousins
Jesus.
exactly. I'm just thinking that they might pull off some free agent moves that might propel them into a situation.
They're
where they
talking about
could
getting rid of Kirky
surprise.
Cousins.
Who cares? I think if they they'll figure out the quarterback this offseason. I think I'm predicting it now. They're gonna find a solution to either like Kirk Cousins will just be better, or they'll find someone else. And then they get rid of Mike Zimmer and bring in a new head coach. I got faith in the new guy.
It's whatever. It's whatever. There's so much NFL stuff that's happening. It will be interesting to see what happens go forward. I think free agency starts officially in June for the NFL. Not sure on that one. Shall we talk conference championship play, boys?
Go right ahead.
Did anyone see what the hell happened between Wagner and Bryant yesterday?
Greatest game ever. That was the
let me say
fun game.
That kiss guy for what was it, Bryant? I mean, top scorer in the league, and he was just putting on a freaking show in that game. But hey, it's all right.
Dude would hit a 3-pointer, then trot backwards on defense and trash talk the fans on the sideline, blowing them kisses. I love that, man.
Well, I mean, they were at home. Long story short, fight broke out in the stand. It looked pretty bad too. Like there were some punches thrown.
It was so stupid.
God, I mean, one has been arrested. I just got an article about it today. One was arrested today. It looks like the NEC is launching a investigation on that one. But
yeah, so I'll try to paint a picture. Basically, the game went into a timeout. And as the cameras go in towards Bryant's huddle, you notice everyone's starting to look towards Wagner's bench, and you thought, okay, something's happening on the bench. No, it pans to the crowd. And I guess, again, these smaller conferences hold their conference championships at like the number one seed's home gym. So it was at Bryant's gym. And Bryant's student section sits like in the middle on the sideline, which is actually pretty sweet. Like, most student sections should be that way, but it pans over and you have like the traveling Wagner fans just duking it out with the front row of the Bryant student section. And it's just like the worst part of humanity when you have like, there are women in the middle of all that. And there's just drunk dudes throwing crap at each other, punching each other. A woman pushes or a girl pushes a guy, but it's like she's trying to get out of there. It was just gross. It's like it's perfect for that level of basketball. I was just like, this is why no one watches you. Stupid.
I watched it, 1. And 2, I was on ESPN and they were doing the breakdown of it, and they kept pointing out this one kid for I believe it was Wagner was trying to get into the stands.
Yes. He like tripped over a chair.
Well, no. As they zoom out and they pan out, he's talking to one of his coaches, and the ESPN guy said, "Oh, he's trying to plead his case." But I read the kid's lips. The kid said, "That's my mom."
Yep.
So I don't blame him because I would do the exact same thing.
No, I'm not blaming the kid. I'm blaming the whole situation. It's like this kind of crap. It's just stupid.
I'm not saying you blame the kid. It just felt like ESPN was trying to portray the kid in bad light.
Oh no, if that's the case, yeah, that's stupid. But the whole thing is just stupid. It's so stupid. I don't think they've said what like unleashed it either yet. I don't know.
No, and I'm actually interested because I feel like, I mean, listen, it's college kids. They're drinking. It's a championship game. Not being any type of way, but the demographic on Wagner is very dark skinned. There has to be something that was said that triggered, because that's usually what happens in a place like that. It will be interesting on the news that comes out with that. Looks horrible for Bryant. I mean, they won by 40 points in that championship game. I mean,
yeah,
they looked pretty good. Alec, you gave us a prediction and you were pretty damn close on it last night. From the NEC to the WCC championship, St. Mary's took on Gonzaga. I was glued the entire time until the final 4 minutes or so. St. Mary's came out to a huge, they jumped on Gonzaga right away. They looked phenomenal. And then Julian Strother just said, you know what, I will do this myself in the first half. And that's exactly what happened. But at the same time, this is a fear that I had with Gonzaga. Timmy and Holmgren could not do anything in the paint with someone who's more physical and can actually play defense on them. I don't think Strother can do that every game, but I want to hear your take on that game because you are a Gonzaga fan.
Well, I will say, Brandon, having it happen again, that is actually alarming. Because the two-head monster, one of those two should be getting going every game. There's no reason that they should both struggle. And now multiple games, that's alarming. Number two, I thought the game played out or was playing out exactly as I thought. I thought, over the course of the game, Gonzaga would find a way to grind out St. Mary's. I said they'd win by 14. They won by 13, but that's not really the full story because St. Mary's came right back, kept throwing punches. And that worries me too because I'm viewed Gonzaga as a team able to control a game. Like an elite team, once they get that kind of chokehold, they don't really let it go. St. Mary's, we're all in agreement, is a really good team on this podcast. We all agree, or we all say that, but they're not good enough that you, if you're an elite team, should let them back in the game. And Gonzaga did. And to their credit, they pulled away a little bit, but there was some free throws involved with that. So you win by 13, you won a conference championship, great. But I am swayed now going into the tournament. I'm just not as confident as moving them forward in my bracket. Not at all.
I understand that, but then again, who in the NCAA this season specifically has showed you they can consistently be perfect?
Well, I was saying I thought Gonzaga was maybe one of those teams. Being
Well,
the base.
I'm saying there is no team that year that has been like that. There's no team who's been consistently perfect in my eyes this year. So I understand the weariness of Gonzaga. I am now very weary of Gonzaga myself, but I'm also thinking there's a lot of teams who have been very inconsistent this year and have not played up to snuff every game that they should have, except for maybe Arizona, but they've had that one Buffalo game. But I'm still riding high on Gonzaga. I'm understanding the weariness of Holmgren not doing what he probably should be doing, but clearly they can win without him doing it. So
my concern is not so much okay, they're not perfect, like you said, Kellen. No college team is going to be perfect. We've only had a few of those where they've gone completely undefeated in the season. My concern is that it was almost the second time in a week and a half span where they have lost to St. Mary's. St. Mary's seems to have figured out a way to stay competitive with them. And how they do it is they slow and play half-court ball. And if St. Mary's was a better shooting team and could hit all of those open shots like they had in the first half, that game would have been close because then you're preventing Gonzaga from having that possession to score points. And I think that's why Holmgren and Timmy did nothing. Holmgren was 2 of 11, I think. Most of his points came from the free throw line, but he was 2 of 11. He had 8 points. Timmy had 10. And anytime they fed it in the post, he couldn't do anything. So I think if they run into a team that can play half court but knock down shots, whether they're open or not, that's going to cause a huge problem.
And that goes further into saying I think there's just a lot more of those types of teams out there this year. We're talking the inconsistencies and in the benefits and the things that hurt you with playing that kind of style is you can be in every game slowing a game down. Iowa does it in football. They hardly ever get blown out. But at the same time, it brings your level of competition, if it's way lower than you, it brings them closer to you at the same time. I mean, there's plenty of teams that'll play the style that Gonzaga has now shown they're going to struggle with. You got Texas Tech. You got Kentucky with Oscar Tshiebwe. You have Illinois. You talk about a team with a big dude who also has just killers outside the three-point line. Illinois would have won that game by 20 points last night. I know might sound odd, but that's just reality. So there's plenty of teams out there. I know it's cliche to say it just depends on the draw, but I just feel like there's way, way, way more draws now that will not be favorable to Gonzaga, especially as the number 1 seed.
Once again, I understand where you guys are coming from, but I'm just viewing it differently than you guys are. Like, St. Mary's is keeping it close because they see Gonzaga 2 to 3 times every year. They know exactly how Gonzaga works and how Mark Few works. They have the Gonzaga game circled every single year for 4 or 5 months in advance. This is the game that matters to them most, and that's all they care about, really. Because they know they're going to win.
Tournament game, though, an elimination tournament game.
I know, but you don't have 3 months to prepare for Mark Few. You're not facing Mark Few every year, 3 times a year. This team, not every team is conditioned for Gonzaga basketball the way St. Mary's is. That's why I'm saying they continue to keep it close, because they're bitter rivals who see themselves 2 to 3 times a year. That's my opinion. I know you guys disagree with me. You're not going to convince me otherwise. I'm not going to convince you otherwise. That's just how I view it.
No, it's good. We need the differing opinions. I would just push back a little bit more on that point, though, and say, okay, then look across conferences. I completely agree. Mark Few, one of the best coaches in college basketball. There's plenty of up-tempo styles that can prepare you for Gonzaga. You know, hell, even Iowa plays up-tempo ball. And when they've had Luka Garza in the past, it mimics what Gonzaga does a lot. So Big Ten teams have seen the style. Then you go over the Big 12. I mean, shoot, Baylor's played Gonzaga several times over the last couple of years, so they know what's up. You go to the Pac-12. There's been several teams that have played, like, because Gonzaga goes out, and that's why we love them, Kellen. They go out, play these incredibly difficult non-con schedules, and normally win. So I don't think the product is going to be alien to a lot of these teams that they could see down the road. I agree with you, though, that like, yeah, St. Mary's definitely, the rivalry factor can't be overlooked. But
this is like the 19th time in a row they've won the WCC, which is just absurd. But, you know, other than that, Kellen, I understand what you're saying from your point of view. I do want to touch on kind of an upset that happened today. Xavier lost in overtime to Butler, which is pretty much going to knock them out of the tournament. They were one of the last 4 byes. They lost in overtime, and Butler was horrible this year. I mean, god awful.
this is the first time. So I heard this from our friend Matt Richter, who's with Wabash basketball. This could possibly be the first time, and I think he said 30 some odd years, that Butler would let a coach go. If that means anything, that's how good Butler basketball has been the last 30 years, because people have left for the NBA or left for other coaching jobs. It's the first time they've actually been bad. Sorry, Brandon.
No, you're fine. I just thought it was crazy because Xavier wasn't bad in the Big East. I mean, they were up there with, you know, Providence and UConn and all that. And Butler was at the very, very bottom with Georgetown. I don't think Georgetown won a conference game this year. But for this to happen, it's a huge eye-opener. Joe Lenardi was just talking about it on the television here, that this will pretty much knock them out.
Oh, he actually said that?
Pretty much this will knock them out completely.
Gosh, and they were a top 10 team earlier this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what's even crazier is, I mean, we'll touch on that here in a little bit. Your dark horse pick for the ACC, Wake Forest, kind of had a choke showing today. I don't know if you want to touch on that. I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine. I just thought I'd bring it up because it happened.
Always has to bring it up. Well, yeah, they were my dark horse, and it was a damn good dark horse pick. Let me tell you, I have no reservations over picking the Demon Deacons. But yeah, they just completely blew up. They deserve to lose in every sense of the word. Now, Boston College put up a great fight. When you blow a 10-point lead with like 3 minutes to go, yeah, you deserve to lose. Boston College went on a 21-5 run from like 4 minutes to go through overtime. So Wake, you had your shot. And I mean, if Notre Dame is on the bubble, Wake Forest has to be on the bubble, don't they? I mean, that should knock them out. Boston College was terrible.
Wake Forest was on the bubble. They were one of like the last 4 in.
They have to be done. They have to absolutely be done.
And it's funny you touched on Notre Dame because I was going to wait till after another few games, but since you touched on them, they were a projected 10 seed when I looked earlier, and they will be facing Virginia Tech. They pulled out a squeaker in overtime against Clemson about 5-10 minutes ago. Joe Lenardi just said that a lot of people are not as high on Notre Dame. Kellen has talked about this before. The committee just does not like Notre Dame. Right now, Notre Dame is one of the last 4 buys for the tournament, which is a 12 seed.
But see, okay, that's so stupid though, because if I'm a 5, I'm sitting there going like, what the hell? Because like, yeah, the metrics hate Notre Dame, and we've looked at why that might be, but dude, that's like just punishing a 5. I mean, the team that finished second in the ACC, you have to face them in the first round. Are you kidding me?
Hey, could you imagine Notre Dame, like Iowa, first round in Indianapolis?
Dude, I would love that so much. I went to Iowa State, Notre Dame my freshman year at Iowa State, and then in Dayton, it's an absolute blast. Iowa State won by like 25.
Kind of looks like you're munching on a milkshake. I know we'll get to you in a second.
I'm good. I'm good. I've got my Arby's. I'm feeling nice. Wake Forest sucks. Boston, like that was bad. Like I see. Like there's no chance they even deserve a spot in the dance. Sorry, clearing out the chicken from my mouth. Boston College, don't know where the hell they came from, but they decided to play basketball, which, I don't mind. They have that one kid with the weird kind of frosty front tips that looks awful. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, but I'm still going to make fun of you for it. I don't know. The ACC has been fun. Like, I even today there was like the 30-point blowout between Syracuse and Florida State, which was very unexpected. And the nice little fight. I mean, that we got with Buddy Boehiem. Not really a fight, but he threw a punch and somehow it wasn't called. NCAA is turning into just the UFC 2.0, whether it's Michigan, whether it's Bryant and Wagner, or Buddy Boehiem.
The nerve of his dad, Jim Boeheim, to say, "Oh yeah, that was nothing. He didn't do that intentionally at all.
You got pushed twice."
He just accidentally wound up and hit him right in the stomach. You see it all the time in basketball. But the NCAA was quick, or the ACC was quick on that. They actually suspended him for tomorrow's game, and they play Duke tomorrow, and that's a huge person they're missing out.
Very far.
So there's the answer I'm looking for. That's it right there. Duke will probably win by 30 or 40 points tomorrow. I mean, this is just going to be unbelievable. Real quick, Northwestern beat Nebraska. Northwestern's playing Iowa tomorrow.
God, if the Cornhuskers would have continued their run, I would have lost it.
Wait, does Penn State play tomorrow then? Or
they're playing right now.
Okay. Other
losing.
update, because from our conference championship picks on Instagram, the graphic I made, Alec's pick of Oregon won by 14 today against Oregon State. They look pretty damn good today. I don't know who they play next. We'll have to look at that for tomorrow.
They're winning.
Well,
doesn't matter.
Okay. If they're playing Arizona, I don't see a win.
They're taking the W.
God, but no, it's been fun. I mean, I thought it was pretty eye-opening today. So Georgia, one of the worst teams in the SEC and in the country. Their head coach is Tom Crean.
Yeah, dude, what a weird thing. You just completely forgot about him. Just disappeared down there.
They were down 35-10 at one point in the first half of a conference championship, like tournament play, and you're losing by that in the SEC. I don't even remember how long his contract was for Georgia, but that's just horrible for the SEC. Maybe he goes on somewhere. He was huge at IU and Marquette back in the days. Now he's just nothing.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So
Georgia doesn't need to be good in two things. They got football. Let them suck in basketball.
A real quick rundown for tomorrow. IU plays Michigan at 11:30. That's the first game of the day. That'll be a great game to watch. Butler and Providence. Are we thinking an upset with Butler over Providence tomorrow?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. No, sir.
Syracuse and Duke. Alec, you've touched on it, and Kellen, you've agreed with Alec. TCU is actually playing Texas tomorrow for one of the first games for the Big 12. Northwestern, Iowa. No other really games that I can think of that matter right now, because everything's TBD with the games happening today.
I will say, watch out, like Hawkeye fans. Northwestern has kind of been a spine in Iowa sports for the last 15 years. And the game they played this year, just like a week ago, Northwestern played like the worst basketball I've ever seen. It was so awful. They had like 18 points at half, only because a freshman of theirs hit 2 threes coming down the stretch of the first half. And Iowa blew the barn doors off of them. In the past, Iowa has struggled with very athletic guards, and Northwestern has one in Boehiem. He's a good player. He's just incredibly streaky. He had a bad day tonight, but still led the team in scoring with 16. We talk about what kind of players win tournament games, and he's that guy. So him, Boehiem, paired with Pete Nance, who historically Iowa's been his best opponent, scoring and rebounding average-wise. Couple that with some really bad feelings about their last performance. Like, they couldn't have played any worse than they did last game against Iowa. So if Iowa comes in thinking they're just going to kind of waltz through this one again, they could easily lose tomorrow. I hope it doesn't happen, but I could definitely see it.
I also want to point out that Johnny Davis said he plans to play in the conference tournaments as well. So,
by the way, who should have won the Big Ten Player of the Year? No, Johnny Davis was
John Harrar.
Stop. Listen, Johnny Davis averaged on the button 20 points a game, and I believe 8.1 or 8.2 boards a game. Keegan Murray, the first player to win 6 Big Ten Players of the Week in a single conference season, averaged over 23 points a game, 8.4 rebounds a game, 2-point-something assists, and a block and a half.
We're not on that committee.
No, I'm not. I don't see it. And Iowa won 8 of their last 10 or 9 of their last 11 ball games.
Let me just throw this at you. John Harrar had 16 points and 16 rebounds against Michigan State, and Penn State lost 5 of their last 7. I think John Harrar deserves that W right there. I think he deserves that award.
Really quick, though. If you put Keegan Murray on Wisconsin is better.
Yeah.
Then if you took Johnny Davis and put him on Iowa is worse.
Yeah, but that could also be just be scheme fit as well. But I would agree with you. Yes. But if they both had John Harrar, they're title contenders.
And anytime you talk about Big Ten basketball with these two, it's awesome. I love sitting back, listening to you two go back and forth. It's fantastic. I'm actually anxious
because we don't actually have teams that are going to win shit.
John Harrar.
We're just going to sit around and bitch at each other about what happened the night before. God dang it.
So we've always said it. I've said it. Kellen said it. Even Alec has agreed with what Kellen and I have said. There's always a team in the Big Ten that makes a run. Is Northwestern that team? Is that what you're saying right now?
Fuck no.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you know what, though? If they get past Iowa, Rutgers is next. Why couldn't they beat Rutgers?
Because Rutgers is fit, man.
No. But
Rutgers is fit.
Northwestern's not going to beat Purdue, Illinois, or Wisconsin.
Well, Rutgers will.
God.
Rutgers is going to win it all, man.
Anyways, just keep your mouth shut. You're eating, man. Unbelievable. Alec, it's the Players' Championship this week, and you need some points. Like,
is that why I get first pick?
I will give you first pick. The field is unbelievable. I am actually surprised that there's a 3-way tie for the favorite at plus 1,400. So there really is no guaranteed unbelievable pick right now.
Who are the favorites? Because I hope you don't name mine.
So top 3 for the plus 14 is Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, and John Rahm. Is that who you were going to pick?
Guys, I was like, I need some chalk. So last year I won some money on Justin Thomas winning. I really wrestled with, should I try and go back to the well on that one? No, I just think, statistically that's not going to happen. So then I was like, oh man, who's out there that I haven't really touched? So You know what? Morikawa. I totally forgot about Morikawa this year. Yeah. You know, that might be a good pick. But then again, like, he's been playing well, but is he playing well enough to win the Players? I don't think so. Then it was
He
like,
finished outside the top 40 last year with the Players.
yeah. So I was like, man, my boy John Rahm. I went back to him. I went to him last week, but he missed a 10-inch putt. What can I do? Do you know what I'm going to do? In one of the bigger spots of the year,
You're going with it.
No, I'm going back to Will Zalatoris. He's gonna bring it home.
God.
It's gonna happen. I'm telling you, the man is a greens and regulation machine. And on the island green, he's gonna stick one within 6 inches of the cup, and it will be the iconic moment of the tournament.
Just to let all of our viewers know, Will Zalatoris is a plus 4,000 right now for the Players. So that's great odds. Kellen, we will go to you next for your outright winner.
Now, I don't have my little miniature Lionel Messi figure here with me today, but that's fine because I am up 5 points. So this week, I'm not hurting about. But I was scrolling through the list of names, and I came across a name I remember last year who went on a small little tear of finishing top 10, top 5, which is really what I'm aiming for this week. And he started going on this tear right about now and ended in like May-ish. This man became pro in 1993, standing at 6 feet tall, Lee Westwood.
You think Lee Westwood's going to win the Players Championship?
I think I'm no. Yes, no, yes. I'm really going for a top 10 finish just to get some points.
Let's see here. Before I give you my pick, let me see if he is a plus 12,500 odds to win the Players.
I might make some money here.
I was torn between two players. I almost just kind of tripled up on Hideki Matsuyama, but I did not. I'm going to go with your boy, Alec, Daniel Berger, to win the Players Championship this weekend. He's been pretty consistent the past couple of weeks. I think he'll do well. I would not be surprised. Even if he doesn't win, I could see him getting a top 5 finish for sure. But I'm going to pick him to win it this weekend. Dark horse time, my friend. It is you.
Yes. The Daniel Berger pick was a much more astute pick, I feel like, than Zalatoris. But I'm not fretting. Will's going to win it. So the person finishing in second is going to be my dark horse. I'm going Corey Connors of Canada. Corey Connors of Canada. Always a solid player. His problem is he likes to make some kind of first and second day jumps and then fall off. But I think he'll hold on, hopefully to get me close to contending for a top 5. I think he can do that as a dark horse.
Kellen, you are up.
Well, you know, when I go dark horse, you guys know I really go dark horse. Like I go with people I've never heard of before. Kevin Na was was a more safe pick last time, and he still somehow finished dead last in the entire tournament. So I was scrolling through the names. I came across a German fellow with the last name of a hockey player that I really enjoy watching. This man is 32 years old and he already has 6 professional wins. Give me Stefan Jager.
Ooh, Jaromir Jagr.
I love Jaromir Jagr, man.
Good pick. Good pick.
No clue.
That is diving deep in the barrel, though.
That guy could finish dead last at a plus 75, and I wouldn't be surprised.
That's way down there at the barrel there, bud. But hey, that's what we're here for.
He doesn't have any. There's no betting statistics because they just don't expect anyone to bet on the man.
Kind of torn between Alec's dark horse pick because the difference between Zalatoris and Connors is only 1,000 in the odds.
Oh man! If you need me to pick someone else, I will pick someone else. You guys discuss.
Just because you need points, I'm gonna.
No. I don't want there to be excuses because Corey Connors definitely is straddling the line. So like, you let me know.
If you have one off the top of your head right now, I'll give you the time.
While you give us yours, I will look through again.
Fair enough. God,
I got one.
I'm actually going to go with Max Homa for my dark horse pick. He finished tied for 14th 2 weeks ago, tied 17th last week for the Genesis Invitational. He's gotten top 20 in the past 3 invitationals, and he's been lights out on the green in his drives. Everyone seems to think that this guy is poised to have a big year. I think this is where he steps up. Big stage, Players Championship, Max Homa, bringing it home.
It's a good pick. Good pick. I did find the guy. Absolutely, I'm going with this guy. Why have I not gone with this guy once before? I love Family Guy. I love Family Guy so much. And in one episode, early episode of Family Guy, Peter Griffin, one of the greatest cartoon characters of all time, goes undercover at his child's school to look into a little drug problem with licking toads. And his alias his name was Lando Griffin. So I'm going with none other than Lanto Griffin. Peter Griffin in disguise. He's pulling it off as my dark horse, Lanto Griffin.
Beautiful. I really hope Zalatoris does something for you, man, because you're about to go 5 weeks without points right now.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm just waiting for the big events. The players,
I swear,
the Masters.
if Hovland wins this weekend, that's got to be a sign. Like, listen, like it's your time to pick him.
I am picking Victor Hovland. I have not made up my mind yet, either for the U.S. Open or the British Open. That will be my Hovland pick.
Can I change my pick? My outright winner.
You want to get rid of Lee Westwood?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I
do.
feel like you're doing some research right now.
No,
Yeah, you've already
as if I do
made your
research
pick.
for golf. I just picked fucking Stefan Yager as my as my dark horse.
Alec, sidebar. Do we give him the chance to change his outright winner pick?
I suppose so, because I think he's going to dig himself even deeper in a hole here. Go ahead.
I want Victor Hovland this weekend.
Oh, you piece of...
All right. Well, Victor Hovland, Will Zalatoris, Daniel Berger is our outright winners. Max Homa, Stefan Yager, Lanto Griffin, about to win the Players Championship.
Oh, Peter.
I have no idea what time they tee off tomorrow. I know all of the opens and invitationals have been on ESPN Plus. I've been trying to keep up with it as much as possible on YouTube, and even just ESPN updates. Are you looking at what time they tee off tomorrow?
6:45.
It is on NBC finally. So
Thank
beautiful.
God.
Yes, fine.
Beautiful.
Beyond golf.
I've always loved the TPC Sawgrass course. I've always thought it was a great course to play. I'm not going to lie. It's on the bucket list of mine to go play at TPC Sawgrass.
Absolutely. The Island Green, got to shoot into it once. I'll put 5 in the water, and that'll be just fine.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Also, this is news from you guys. Are you guys going to tell the people what time to expect your football podcast tomorrow?
We have not discussed what time, but it will be tomorrow. We'll be talking about English Premier League and talking about fights in the Mexican Soccer League.
We'll also
Classico.
We will also be discussing the Real Madrid PSG game.
Champions League soccer.
Yeah, just a lot of good soccer going on this past couple of days that we will be discussing.
All right, boys. Any last words of wisdom for our listeners and viewers?
No words of wisdom, because as people who listen by now know, I am not smart. What I will do, though, is discuss some college basketball things that we did not discuss because these are smaller teams. I have been saying this team's name wrong for the past couple of episodes. It's Bellarmine, not Bellarmine. And they did end up winning the Atlantic Sun over Jacksonville. But since they cannot compete in the NCAA tournament, you would think Jacksonville would get that vote to be in the NCAA tournament. But no, because Jacksonville State won the regular season Atlantic Sun tournament, they get the bid, and they're going dancing.
What a clusterfuck that is. Oh, that's horrible.
No kidding, because let Bellarmine go. Bellarmine, go. It's the dumbest thing ever. And then to not let Jacksonville go because whatever. It's stupid. Also, Iona lost tonight, which means that Rick Pitino, I texted you guys like last week saying Rick Pitino's building a dynasty at Iona. Well, screw that because the Gales lost and to Ryder, and the Gales are now going to the NIT. They will not be in the tournament this year. I also want to bring up Colgate, who plays in the Patriot League. They won their conference championship. They did not lose a game in the Patriot League, and every game they won was by at least 15 points.
Well, with that being said, I prefer Crest toothpaste. Wabash always fights, and go Hawks.
Penn State, you disappoint me on every turn, whether it's any sport except for wrestling. Please, for the love of God, get your shit together.
Last thing. 76ers Nets tomorrow night. Ben Simmons on the bench back in Philly. Last thing before we sign off. You guys have a good one. And the Players Championship tomorrow, 6:45 NBC. I will be glued to that TV.
Yes, sir. Go Hawks.
James Harden, don't disappoint me.